to even dare appear before that family with crocodile tears pretending to be condoling them when she is the very architect of what happened in Homa Bay. We have audio, we have video, we have recordings of how they planned this particular violence. As a matter of fact, this violence was conceptualized, it was organized, it was executed, supervised, and celebrated by them in the name of defending their support for President Ruto, as my friend Nyamita is saying, and also in defense of what they call the strongholds of ODM. Mm-hmm. And my brother Mark here, if he truly condemned this, he should draw a line. The line was drawn. If it is in the name of ODM, he should know what to do. Not just tell us words, empty words, that this is from both sides. Which is in your view? Yeah, I mean...
Which line? Which line?
Everybody has a right to go and do their politics.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Before we set out to go to Homa Bay, and we have gone to many places, we have audio of Wanga and Kaluma and Ogindo mm-hmm. planning the violence, mobilizing youth, saying we will not go there. We have them distributing money, going. They came to my constituency several times when they organized how to block us. So it is hypocritical. They are responsible. Wanga bears the greatest responsibility for the deaths, the destruction, and everything that happened in Homa Bay County, and as well as Kaluma and Ogindo. All the youths, those, the Abdi and the rest of them. Yeah. Yeah, but they bear responsibility, and they cannot deny it. So what is happening is that Homa Bay County has produced some of the best leaders over the years. That is where Tomboya came from. Dr. Odero Jowi, Phoebe Asio, Peter Nyakiamo. These are some of the best leaders this country has ever had. But now we have windbags, empty heads, idiots, yeah, pretending to be leaders while they are gangsters. And the problem is they can't deal with reason, they can't do logic. What they are telling you is that here, the president has given us development. What is in Homa Bay County? There's 2 kilometers of dual carriageway. 2 kilometers. There's a dual carriageway from Nairobi to Nyeri. They don't throw stones there. They are telling you, oh, our airport was upgraded. 50 meters, extension, 300 million. There's a pier, 300 million. A fish market, 50 million. And they are telling us for that, they are ready to kill other Kenyans. What kind of nonsense is this?
So we'll come to the visits by the head of state, and interestingly 38 times since 2024. You'll have a right of reply, Honorable Nyamita. But Honorable Walu, coming to you.
Yes.
If we are to do a synopsis and an examination of how exactly this happens, yeah, where will our observation begin?
Personally, I would wish to analyze and contextualize this within the realms of the paradox of our political history. You remember, in the advent of multi-party politics in Kenya around 1990, the advocates of multi-party politics used to flash the two-finger salute. Mm-hmm. Yet those who were pro-single party system used to tingeza one finger.
It's the opposite today.
Yeah? So, just as it was wrong at that point in time, multi-party politics, it is equally wrong today to coerce people to sing two-term. Because that's the paradox. Today, people are now being forced to sing two-term as opposed to one term or any other term. Okay? It is wrong. Let's allow people, Kenyans, to make a choice. And that choice should be based on an informed position, based on the track record of the politicians or the leaders and the agenda that they have for Kenyans moving forward. I would wish to see a situation where our politics, as we move towards 2027 elections, become more issue-based. And we elect leaders based on their performance, their track record, and the feasible and tangible agenda that they have for Kenyans moving forward in response to the real challenges facing the Kenyan people. Yeah? But just resorting to slogans without putting propositions on the table in response to the challenges facing Kenyans, to me, is a zero science to vicious circles, through vicious circles of political innuendos, and ping pong games, clouded in promises. Yeah? Today, we are talking about a vision 2060. We have not told Kenyans the extent of implementation of Vision 2030 on one hand, and even the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, on the basis of which now we have transitioned from that, the Vision 2030, without taking stock, undertaking an end-term evaluation of that, or an end-term evaluation or mid-term evaluation of the bottom-up economic transformation. Now we are transitioning to another circle of political deceit, to run away from the challenges facing Kenyans today. The challenges that we need to confront, one is a punitive taxation system, high cost of living, spiraling debt, corruption, wastage in government, an education system that is not working, a health system with inherent challenges, joblessness among the youth. Those are the issues of the day that we need to address. And our politicians should be honest with Kenyans.
Which were all promised in the better plan.
Oh, yes.
That the president sold the country in 2022.
Absolutely, yeah.
And which you supported as a cabinet member.
Not just that, I was part and parcel of the team that came up with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. But we got into government and priorities changed.
So you'll tell us more about then whether you are a cut from the different cloth, given that you have launched a new political party. Yes, Uriri, in response to that.
Let me say something, and I think Ayub, for us to benefit our viewers, particularly the viewers from our region, I just want to ask that we keep honest in this particular discussion. Because we just didn't happen today to be here or to come from that particular region. Kenya has existed for over 60 years. And I think it is unfair for someone to trivialize, whereas they are little, in the eyes of many, the things that maybe might have happened. You know, Karoli can say it is 2.8 kilometers in the town, but he's not telling you that it's in his own constituency, Karoli himself. I was with Karoli, by the way, and Eliud. We were part of the team that actually went to State House in the initial stages. Karoli and I, and Eliud was there.
No, I'd say I organized it. I organized the meeting.
Absolutely. He actually organized it. And if you remember, and if we are to be honest, you remember some of the things that we'd actually discussed. I remember what Karoli asked for. Karoli asked for the tarmacking of the road, the stall project, which was from Sindo all the way to Sori. By that time, I think they'd just done about 7 kilometers.
No,
that's what he asked.
Nothing had been done.
Nothing had been done. He confirms that nothing had actually been done. Today, they've done 28 kilometers. In less than 2 years.
So you want Kenya
No, just hold on. Just hold
you
on.
want us to kill for
just hold on. Let's have a conversation. You have your time, I say it. So when you come and say that 2.8 kilometers, we are saying 28 kilometers in your own constituency. One of the other things that was very dear to Karoli that time is 28 kilometers, according to the record. And I actually checked before I came. But even if it is 21, from nothing and 21, 60 years later, from nothing and in less than 2 years, 21 kilometers, like he says, but it is 28. He also did mention, and I think that was a big thing, when there was a grand coalition government, there was a proposed Lake Victoria Ring Road, which was cutting across 5 counties. Migori, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Siaya, all the way to Busia. And it is a project, he did tell us that they initiated it during that particular time. But because of the bureaucracies of the day, the bureaucrats actually frustrated that whole thing. From Kibaki time, coalition, it didn't happen. It came to Uhuru time, it didn't happen. This particular government has pursued it, and the government has actually signed the agreement for the consultant to actually come on board. In fact, from the timelines, they are hoping that by February next year, we are going to have a contractor on site. A 500-kilometer road that is cutting across. Very dear. That particular airport we are talking about, that expansion has enabled movement to happen. So what we are saying, no amount of development is worth any life. That we shouldn't lose life, even if we had got 1,000 kilometers of road in Nyanza. But I want to say, when I say that I'm condemning both sides, the team that went down there were equally armed to the teeth. They were equally armed to the teeth. And Ayub, if you have some of the clips, and I want you to play both of them, they were armed to the teeth and were saying, let's finish very quickly. We get to the next stage, we are going to deal with those people. And when they finished, they passed through Homa Bay now in a rush, maybe because there was chaos. What is the result? someone else has died.
Zealots, yeah.
So what I am saying, two wrongs don't make a right.
Let me respond.
Two wrongs.
You will.
Two wrongs don't make a right. But and I think we'll have time to discuss.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. Can I give him the right of reply? Yeah.
So what I was only saying is that, and when I condemned both sides. I'm saying we don't need to be violent. Everyone needs to be given a space to sell what they are actually talking about. Tell us why you want particularly, and other people, then we let them decide.
Okay. Let's go.
Before we went to Homa Bay as Linda Manchi, where were we? We were in Trans Nzoia. There's a minister from Trans Nzoia. We went to Bungoma. The speaker comes from Bungoma. We had been to Kakamega, Oparanya is from there. We had been to Vihiga. Musalia Mudavadi is Prime Cabinet Secretary from there. The little violence we had in Vihiga was from Kisumu boys who were sent. So all those other areas we had been there, and they also have people in government and development projects. There was no violence. We had been to Taita Taveta. There was no violence. So, and the Lake Victoria Ring Road that is being done, it is not the 500 kilometers. As a matter of fact, part of the funds have been taken now to go and do roads in Rift Valley.
No,
so there's been rebalancing. They'll only do from Homa Bay to Masara and the other side.
The things I'm talking about have confirmed.
Yes,
it's actually the whole stretch.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll confirm whether there is budgetary allocation for that.
No,
not yet.
What they have done, they've updated us a World Bank. It will be funded by the World Bank. It is part of the regional integration network. So it is a World Bank project.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it is actually conceptualized in 1968 by Tom Mboya. Now, this idea that some road is being done in your constituency, so you carry machetes and you threaten people to come, not to come to your constituency, is what we are talking about here.
And I disagree with the issue of machetes. I support that no one should carry machete. Either the people or neither side, including you guys. You shouldn't have carried machetes and guns.
You have condemned both parties. Let him finish his point and then I'll go to Waziri.
Yes, we have been to many places. We've never caused violence. How come it is only when we come to Homa Bay that there is violence? And Kisumu? How come? We've been to Mombasa. There was no violence. There was no violence in Mombasa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's come back. And there is plenty to discuss. I'll begin with you, Bwana Waziri.
Okay.
And that includes the direction of the broad-based government versus Linda Mwananchi, the factional divide evident, and the test of the orange now exposed in the aftermath of our late former Prime Minister's death last year in October. Plenty, which includes also your plans as the alternative government, other than, of course, the wild reception political across the country, and also where accountability falls, given that you members of parliament hold sway constitutionally. But then what happens? Is it the executive reaching out or parliament reaching out to the executive? All that is here on the bench with Eliud Owalo, Mark Nyamita, and Karoli Omondi, a trio who, in one way or the other, have been influenced politically by the omnipresence politically of the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Stay with us here. Coming up in business, grounded aircraft, high fuel costs, and mounting debt continue to slow Kenya.
Sifuna is now Ruto's living hell. Eh? You know, for about 3 years, people were saying Ruto must go. People were saying, even in Western and elsewhere in the country, you can say Ruto Tawe. But they didn't seem to know who should replace him.
Saying he should go so.
So what's next? The Gen Zs were saying they had a cause, but they were leaderless, they were partyless, and they were tribeless. Tribeless was good, partyless and leaderless was bad, but they had a cause. And now they have this millennial, yeah, who is organized and who is ready. He's going to need to be more and better organized than he is, but he seems to have just come in place organically. So Ruto, who thought that he had wrapped up Western, he had wrapped up Luo Nyanza, he had taken ODM, he had inherited Raila's constituency and all he needed to do. I think his thinking was very simplistic, that get rid of Gachagua, get everything that Raila Odinga got, top it up with the Kalenjin vote, and I'm home and dry. Because if he gets everything that Raila Odinga had, then he's falling short of what he needs. If we assume that everything is constant, he's falling short of what he needs by only 240,000 votes. So if he can inherit everything that Raila had intact, and he tops it up with the Kalenjin vote, he still becomes president. But what Raila had has gone haywire. So it is living hell. His dreams are scattered. You go to Luo Nyanza, and the opinion polls are showing that the strand of ODM that is with him is about 40%. In fact, it is 42%. The one which has gone in Nyanza is 58%. You go to Western, Sifuna has run away with 85%. You come to Nairobi, he has run away with 80%. You go to the coast, he has run away with 75%. You go to Central, he has run away with 100%. So, what is what? In fact, it will only be a waste of time. When you are a wise man, you recognize your limitations. In academia, when we are writing thesis, we always say these are the limitations to this study, that I set out to find out about the following, to establish the following. And I used this method to investigate and to reach my conclusions. But these were the limitations, the limiting factors. These are the limitations of the spaces I did not go into. These are limitations that may make my conclusions incomplete and inviting further investigation. When you are competing for office, you must also recognize the limits and limitations. There are three kinds of territories when you are campaigning for elections in office. You have got your strongholds, which think that you are the person. Then you have got hardcore spaces that have no room for you. Then you have got what you would call the no man's land. Anyone could go there and get what they want. Now, if you mistake any of those three for either of the other two, you are in trouble. So, Mount Kenya is hardcore. It was soft. It was a stronghold in the past. And it was a stronghold largely because, anyway, it was voting against Raila Odinga traditionally. And Ruto thought it was his vote. Now it has reverted to its hardcore status. And it doesn't matter how many forays he makes into the mountain. It's gone. But he's spending time in that hardcore area. Western is another hardcore area. It was standing with Raila Odinga not as the individual, but as a representation of a certain vision of the country. And when Raila Odinga went and started working with William Ruto, that region started saying, no, this is not what we stand for, this is not what we know you for, this is not what we want. And Edwin Sifuna became the expression of that resistance. In the demised post-Raila Odinga existence that we now find ourselves in, Sifuna has become a sharper and more visible flame of that vision, and is articulating it with a lot of clarity, with a lot of maturity, and the region is saying, yes, this is what we understand, this is the Kenya that we want, the one that you are talking about. Now these other fellows, Kenya Kwanza, are coming with baits on hooks, saying, oh, we are going to give you the number 2 position. We are going to give it to Musalia. The next day they say we are going to give it to Wetangula. The third day they say they are going to give it to Oparanya. Sometimes they say they are going to give it to each one of those 3 on the same day in different parts of Western Kenya. Then at the same time, another strand of them is in Luo Nyanza. They are saying we are going to give it to Gladys Wanga. Junet Mohammed, when he's in Western, will say we are going to give it to Oparanya. When he's in Homa Bay, he will say, oh, this thing is ours, it must now come here. Someone else is in Mount Kenya region, is saying, oh, we are going to keep it here. This is yours. So they're using baits against a broad visionary agenda. Because what you're seeing happening in Linda Mwananchi is not Sifuna. It has even taken Sifuna by surprise. He did not even expect that he would anytime soon be talking about running for president. He was articulating a seriously people felt need, saying no to William Ruto. Like a gentleman in New Zealand some years back, he was called David Longi, who started saying no to what the government of the day was doing. Then people told David Longi that you are going to be our leader, and we want you to become the Prime Minister of New Zealand. You are going to lead this party. And David Longi is saying now how that was not what I wanted. I was just articulating a vision. And that's what Sifuna has been doing until he finds himself in a place where he's fitting in snugly in what not just the people of Western are saying, but the country at large is saying. If people have been saying that we don't want Ruto, no to Ruto, if people have been saying Ruto must go, they have not been equally clear on then who comes in. They would ask, then so who? And the young people in particular have been saying, we would like total change. We would like a new person. We would like someone who is arriving with clean hands. We would like to see generational change. And Edwin Sifuna then comes virtually from nowhere, so to speak, and he fits in like a new glove. So, when, therefore, Ruto goes to camp in Western, which is his home base, he's Nairobi's senator, but Western Kenya is home base. There's a sense in which they own him. He wastes his effort. He should be looking for softer ground elsewhere to go and invest his energies there. He needs to read the parable of the sower, where Jesus talked about from person went out sowing seed. Some of it fell on the path and a bird came and ate it. Another one fell among thorns, and as it grew, the thorns choked it. Another one grew on soft ground. He should go and look for soft ground. Mount Kenya is a rock. And when Mount Kenya is not a rock, it is a path. He goes there with mattresses, he goes there with gas cylinders, he goes there with boards, and the birds come and they eat those things. When he goes back to find now his harvest, he finds that where he expected 90%, he's getting 13% because the birds ate his seed and went with it. Western are thorns. He's going to waste his seed there. One day when he goes back thinking that he has gone to harvest, he will find that the thorns have choked his crop and there is nothing for him to harvest. So he should ask himself whether there is any soft ground left and spend more time there, because he's dealing with a movement whose time has come, and a movement that believes it has found youthful leadership. And make no mistake, when you talk about youthful leadership, it's just youthful relative to the age of these other people who are trying to run. People like Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, Wycliffe Oparanya, who are positioning themselves, saying they are biding their time and bidding for leadership in the future. 2032. 2032, my brother, a chicken, since we are speaking about chickens, it's the season of chickens, kuku, tingoho. A chicken sits on its clutch of eggs for 21 days. After 21 days, the eggs must hatch into chicks. Mudavadi has had his 21 days as an egg.
But he's thinking of hatching in 2032.
He can't. Those are the bad eggs that get spoiled. You don't keep the chicken on the eggs forever. They will rot. Some of them rot when, and in fact they burst. Yeah, they burst. They explode. They are called the burst. They explode and produce very foul-smelling ammonia sulfide, which has been accumulating in the bowels because the cuckoo is sitting on the eggs. There are others which are called the germs. The germs are the ones which begin in the incubation. They start turning into a chick, but the chick dies early in its life. And when you open the shell, you find a small chickling that is dead. Those are called the germs. Then there are those that are called dead in the shell eggs, that it actually matures. Some Davadi would be a dead in the egg, in the shell egg, Weta and even Oparanya, because they seem to have reached that level. But they are dead. Those eggs are dead. No matter how long you put mother hen on those eggs, they are dead. So get rid of them, throw them away. There's nothing you can do with them. You cannot cook them, you cannot remove those dead things and wash them and fry. Their time is up. They should make way for the new generation.
At the center, we have seen this narrative, not really a narrative to be specific. Sifuna's homecoming, just for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. We have seen not only a tremble in the opposition, but even in the broad-based government. Junet Mohammed, before then, we used to see Joho in Mombasa, he even printed posters as a deputy. As you spoke, in Homa Bay, we had Wanga being at the center of it, saying, you know, people saying Wanga can, Gladys Wanga can become a deputy. But just this weekend, we saw the team talk about Oparanya. What could be the reason behind that shift?
Basically to attempt to slow down the people's faith in the possibility of an Edwin Sifuna leadership. That you are seeing people who then are positioned as spoilers. That if the mountain is lost, and it sure is lost, the next numerously populated region that you want to go to is Western, and you don't want to lose it. And since you want to run yourself as a president, the most you could offer them is deputy president. But you're also completely confused about whom to offer it to as a bait. And that's why one day you say it is Weta, because there's been a lot of that while Linda Mwananchi has been going around the country. You have seen that there has been a team trooping around Mr. Wetangula, saying that this is the next person in 2032. But you have also been seeing others saying it is Oparanya, it is Mudavadi, and now Oparanya enters the fray. We are going to hear more and more of that, because they must do everything they want, they possibly could, in wanting to derail Sifuna. But what they forget is that this is not about Sifuna. It's a movement. It's a movement about Kenyans. It's a movement about Kenyan youth. And yes, it is a movement also within the Mlembe Nation, because the Mlembe Nation has been the sleeping giant in this country. And there are pundits who will tell you that the one thing they have been waiting to see is the day the sleeping giant called the Mlembe Nation would wake up. And Sifuna, having learned a lot from Raila Odinga, begins by going to other places, outposts. Then he goes back home, like Jesus Christ, going back to Nazareth. And the people of Nazareth are telling him, do here also in your home what we have heard you have been doing in Samaria and in other places out there. Now do it also here in Judea, your home. And hence the kind of excitement that you have seen.
What does that speak about President William Ruto's running? Olkalau sent a message of him possibility of getting a running mate in Mount Kenya. Sifuna's wave looks like it's also dealing a blow in his face.
He can take a running mate from Western. It will not change anything. I'm not even saying it is not likely to change anything. No, it will not change anything. He can take a running mate from Mount Kenya. It will not change anything. The movement that you are seeing playing out in Mount Kenya and in Western is like a wild forest fire. And wild forest fires, once they have begun, because what does a wild forest fire need? It needs heat. And there's been a lot of political heat in this country. Heat which is even generated by Ruto himself. So you have got that political heat. It needs oxygen. and there's the oxygen of the political conversations that you have been seeing all over the place. And President William Ruto does provide that heat. Then it needs fuel, and the fuel are the grievances that the Kenyan population has. So the movement will go on. These wild political fires from Western and from the mountain are going just to come and converge on William Ruto's presidency, regardless of where he gets his running mate.
Msali Mudavadi said that Sifuna's fire is not, as you put it, a forest fire, so it is moto ya magazeti.
He said that about Michael Wamalwa's fire in the year 2002. He said that Mudavadi did of the Mwai Kibaki fire, the NAK fire in 2002. Remember that their symbol was a torch of fire, which they called Mwenge. And Musalia Mudavadi said it was a pepper fire that was going nowhere. And that pepper fire sent him into sabbatical from Sabatia for 5 years, and Karanga fried him in the frying pan on that pepper fire for 5 years. So it's just history repeating itself.
It's sabbatical, Sabatia.
Yes.
So that has been his words,
yes,
forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the situation.
He reads it wrong all the time. The only reason he got it right in 2022 was that he had people like ourselves around who told him William is going to win this thing. If you want to be in government, join him. And now, we, the self-same people who told him William is going to win this thing, we are telling him William is going to lose this thing. And if you are there with him, you are going to lose with him. It's a foolish fly that follows the corpse into the grave, thinking that it has found food that it's going to be feeding on for a very long time.
If Ruto wants to
He's
maybe make some move, where?
He's going to get a portion of Rift Valley. Blood is thicker than water, and there are people who will go with him out of the factor that social science calls consanguinity. Sisi ni wadamu moja. He's going to get a bit of that. He might have a small slew of the rest of the Kamatusa vote. But when I look in the crystal ball, I see shrinking fortunes for William Ruto, shrinking fortunes that have been driven by his hubris and this dismissive arrogance, this character of knowing it all and thinking that everybody else is stupid, as he says. I see shrinking fortunes, and I see the pride that comes before a fall. And if I were to fear for him, I would fear that his opportunities are increasingly becoming like the opportunities of the snowball in hell.
So where does he get the running mate?
I don't know. I think that will be for him to decide.
As an analyst, where do you think?
I've given you my analysis, and my analysis is telling you that he's between the devil and the deep sea. How he wangles his way from that horrific place between the rock and the hard place, the devil and the deep sea. It's difficult for my instruments of analysis to help him.
Sifuna's moved to Western Kenya. What does that speak to Fred Matiang'i? What does it speak to Kalonzo Musyoka? What does that message speak to the mountain region? What is it telling?
Sifuna redefines the political space in its totality. He redefines it within the opposition ranks. He redefines it within the broader context that brings in Kenya Kwanza. You have seen that within the opposition ranks, people like Eugene Wamalwa seem to be unhappy about his rising or his recent star. They really feel that they should be the ones there. But, you know, as I said, these things have happened organically. If you have sat there and you are also part of these bad eggs, and remember that in classifying the eggs, I gave you about 4, 5 different eggs when we are coming out of the incubator. They are the good eggs that hatch. They are the dead in the shell eggs. And you can look at who among the politicians in government and the opposition fits the bill. The dead in the eggshells, the chick matures almost to the point of coming out, but then it dies. Some people in the opposition fit that bill. Then you have got the germs, the germ eggs, G-E-R-M. The germ eggs, you can ask people in poultry. And I know because I come from Ingoholand in Kakamega. The germs, the chick dies in the early stages of maturation. Maybe that is where Eugene Wamalwa belongs. Then you have got the empty ones. They do not mature, but also there is no chick. And some people who do not mind the smell will boil those ones and eat. And finally, you have got the busts, the ones which do not have anything except very dirty, dark water that when it bursts, it smells very bad. So after the chicks come out, you have the rest of the 4. And as they say, the chickens are coming home to roost for everyone.
The deputy part of Sifuna here as we close it up.
I'm still looking in the crystal ball, and I don't want you to go forever. So I want you to come back, but it's going to have to be a new election individual. Remember that 75% of the voters next year, and this is statistical, are going to be aged between 18 and 35. So this is a turning point in Kenya's history. The country must undergo renewal, and new people, young people, are coming on board. They have come, they are here. You can't wish them away. If you are my age, if you are a few years younger than I am, if you are a few years ahead of me, look at yourself as a coach and as a mentor, not as a competitor. We have just come from the World Cup, and you saw that the star that is called Messi got into very messy space in the finals against Spain. He hardly saw the ball. He hardly touched the ball. In fact, seeing he probably did see a bit as the most privileged spectator because he was spectating from the pitch when other people were spectating from the terraces and from television. When you get to a certain age in your life, even at home, in your family, give way to new people. I was a broadcaster like yourselves in my youthful years. And when I said you are listening to the voice of Kenya, it was the voice of Barack speaking as the voice of Kenya. We've had to leave that space, you guys. And leadership in everything in life, you must know when it is time to hang up your boots.
Are You Marriage Ready? Is accessible on all
within the ward are well equipped. That when leaders, the reason I'm saying about every decision you are making as a leader, either to join a camp or a decision that will have a reflection on the people you are going to lead, you must think wisely so that they are not affected negatively. Okay. Because even in your house, if you make a decision as the head of the house, know that everybody associated with you, either by blood or by social life, will be affected in one way or the other.
Okay.
Yes.
That is the whole essence of leadership.
That's the whole essence of leadership.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you engage, you have an opportunity to ask the question to Mheshimiwa here. You are from Makongeni, Makadara constituency, Nairobi as a whole, Kenya as a whole. We need to have credible leaders for us to live better lives. What are you seeking to see in your leaders before you give them their vote and make them assume office and do what they must do? So please interact. And of course, I expect quality questions for quality answers. Now, Mheshimiwa, I want us to get ahead of ourselves, get to 2027.
Yes.
And the first 12 months of your being in office.
Yes.
What measures will you put forth that will transform Makongeni into a new place?
Number one, the first 12 months in the office. We always say education is a key factor to consider in the growth of every society. And as we know that there are bursaries that are at the disposal of the MCA to distribute equally to the consumers, the people that should be benefiting from it. I will ensure that I put a working, effective office that can execute the work, including me myself, to ensure that this office distributes bursaries equally, regardless of your voting pattern, regardless of whoever you voted for. As long as you are in an office, you are a leader of that whole place. The jurisdiction belongs to you. So you have to ensure that everybody becomes a beneficiary.
To the effect it has had on the region following the demise of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Bwana Waziri, I was on you before we got to the break, and look at the direction the region is taking.
Yes.
Just but an example, what happened over the weekend?
Or abetting it. Now, the worrying question is, the hooligans who are terrorizing Kenyans in different parts of the country are known. Mm-hmm. These boys are known to be either close associates of certain politicians or close associates of certain individuals in government. Where is the police in all this? Yeah? If we utilize what happened in Homa Bay as an example, we had instances where certain roads were blocked for a whole day. You can't tell me that can happen in Kenya. Yeah? In the full glare of the police. Where is the police in all this? And that is why there's a perception that perhaps the goons are being facilitated by individuals in government. Yeah. Yeah? Because the cardinal responsibility of any government is to protect the lives and property of citizens. Do you want to tell me that government has lost control of governance to the extent that it has either outsourced its core responsibility of provision of security to the private sector in the name of goons? That is the question that we need to answer. It is mind-boggling that these acts of violence is happening in different parts of the country and the police is not able to arrest these instances of violence.
You sat in cabinet.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And the president, a year after naming his cabinet on the 2nd of October 2023, decried incompetence of his cabinet ministers. Yeah. Of course, worth remembering that he makes the appointments. Yeah. In your view, is the current composition of the appointee, Kipchumba Murkomen, his principal secretary, is incompetence driving what we're witnessing? I mean, because you pointed out roads that have been blocked for a whole day and the presence of police questionable. In your view, having sat in cabinet and served this government, has incompetence gotten us here?
Well, to begin with, it is the prerogative of the president to organize, reorganize, and even disorganize his own government the way he deems appropriate. Okay? So it is not for me to suggest whom he should appoint to certain position. That is his prerogative, depending on how he wants to govern. But as we are today, based on the facts of the case, our security system is not working. Yeah? Our security system is not working. We can't have these acts of violence in different parts of the country. What we witnessed in Olkalau during the by-elections, what we witnessed in Nakuru, what we witnessed in Kisii, and now in Homa Bay, and then the police does nothing about it. That clearly shows that either the police are accomplices in the acts of violence, or perhaps we have got certain unofficial channels giving command or instruction to the police, yeah, outside the formal chain of what? Chain of command. Could it be that individuals in government have lost control of their functional mandate to the extent that we have certain extraneous factors coming into play, have these goons getting instructions from unofficial circles? Okay. Yeah, those are the questions that we need to ask.
Okay. Honorable Mark Nyamita, going into the elections next year, the present situation, certainly if you gauge or examine, do you think it poses that spillover effect as we go to next year's elections?
Ayub, we condemn violence in all its forms, regardless of who is perpetrating it. We were talking about what happened in Homa Bay. And think about it, there have been people trying to say that, the police were facilitating goons to attack one side of the political divide. Mm-hmm. Let's say that was the case. We ended up with a case where one police was killed. Policeman actually is coming from Migori, and several other policemen were hurt.
Yeah.
So who hurt them? Is it the people they were protecting or the people on the opposite side? That's a big question. When we have people who have come on record and said, we do not want the issue of the police, we will take care of ourselves if the police have failed. These are very serious statements. And in the absence of the police in this nation, then we are a failed state. So I want to say that police have instances where they have done right. There have also many instances whereby we can put them to fault, mm-hmm. whereby we find that the police have failed to act in good time, either on information or even to protect certain acts of lawlessness. And we are saying the police needs to be called to order. You remember this regime, and I'm glad that we are here with Elliot. When they came into force, I don't know whether the full independence that was granted to the police is what has made them now not take orders from even the ministry. Because before, the police were falling under the Ministry of Interior, even in terms of accounting. But when this government came into place, it gave some level of independence to the police. In the sense that now, they have their own budget lines, they have their own accounting officer, they have their own. And I remember, my good CSCIs, there was one time, I think, we were trying to look for one policeman who was to be attached to one senior government official when he was in cabinet during that particular time. And it took a very long time because that person could not direct the police to actually attach. So I don't know whether this is what has created the independence. So what? But
ideally, we should have. Ideally, the Inspector General should be autonomous in operational decisions, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if then, which I think the Inspector General is actually autonomous. So these lapses that we are seeing, we need to call that police, the IG, to order and say this and this has gone wrong. For example, the one serious death, for example, the one for Albert Ojwang. What we saw is not what should have actually happened. But we are glad that, there is a prosecution going on. There's a case that is actually in court. And investigations are going on. The political class would want to, spill blood with it and try to draw sympathy all over. But at least there's some action that actually has happened. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority need to be called to act. And that is actually between me, for us who are sitting in Parliament. We can actually try and see where they have failed. The relevant arm of government, for example, in Parliament, we need to actually oversight. So in Homa Bay, when we had a police, and when we had several police who were hurt, they can't have been hurt by people who they were purportedly trying to protect. They must have been hurt by people on the opposite side. And that's why I'm saying we are condemning violence in all its forms, regardless of where it's actually coming from. And I do not want to use past deaths or past instances to justify what has actually happened. And we do not want anyone to be hurt or to die as we head towards election, just because we want to get elected. That one we are condemning in all its forms. Okay. But, Ayub, let's be fair. Let's compare what has happened now and what has happened also previously. Mm-hmm. Are we going, is it getting worse? Or are we trying to improve? Because police excesses are all over. It's not only in Kenya. I'm not trying to put a case for them. But police excesses happen everywhere, including in the US. You remember the guy who killed Floyd? There could be those lapses, but what action is it that we are taking? So we are saying that the police must step into action, and we are condemning violence.
Okay, at all levels.
At all levels.
And that includes...
And from both sides.
Okay, and that includes, because he's on record, Peter Opondo Kaluma, your colleague.
I was on radio this morning, and I am on this show. I am saying the statements that were said by Opondo Kaluma were unfortunate, they were reckless. Because you cannot say that go and fish people from the hotels, and we end up with businessmen who have employed people from the county. That one I condemn. And I condemned it. I said that shouldn't have come from a leader. Okay. And Opondo Kaluma is on the broad-based side where I am sitting. Okay. But on the same note, I am also saying the Linda Wananchi team, who are also saying, let's go and deal with those guys. Collect stones, let us throw stones.
Because
that one I'm condemning.
He is here, so we'll put the question. And from the police statement, just for confirmation purposes, and on a factual note, the police driver died after losing control of the vehicle, and the other sustained injuries in the aftermath. So he wasn't attacked personally.
The police who died is someone known to me. It's called Onkundi.
Yeah.
He had a stone on his head. He was hit on the head.
He lost control of the vehicle.
Let me tell him what happened. First, I want to challenge him because I've brought a censure motion in Parliament against Opondo Kaluma. He sits in the Speaker's panel. He has incited the public and organized violence against fellow members of Parliament. That goes against Leadership and Integrity Act, Standing Orders, Powers and Privileges, the Constitution, Chapter 6, Article 10 of the Constitution. So we are going to censure him, and we want to hear your voice voting with us.
Very well. No.
When the motion comes.
It's not about my voice voting with you.
No, you have to.
Let him make his substantive remarks.
Let it not just be talk here. When we go to the House and the motion comes to the floor, he must be censured.
My good friend is a lawyer. Let me just remind
you. Let me go ahead.
When you come, you must also come with clean hands. Karoli should be the last person to bring a censure motion when he was on top of a vehicle, urging the guys, let's finish this rally very quickly to go and deal with those people in Homa Bay. And we end up with a death. And then he wants to come here and say that me, I have brought...
finish and we are going to Homa Bay now.
You can play the clip.
I listened to the clip.
Yes.
I followed the proceedings.
Yes.
He spoke in Luo and in English.
Yes.
He said we'll go to Homa Bay now.
Yeah. That's what I say.
To go and deal?
No.
It is
Those
there.
are your own words.
Yes. So make your substantive
now. I was there, and at some point my vehicle was the last at the back. My own brothers have been hurt, friends, relatives, people I know. We are paying hospital bills. We've gotten them out. The police. This is how the state assisted. And facilitated the violence. One, they enabled the goons brought by the county government of Homa Bay by giving them electronic trailing on us. They did. The police, including those who pretended to be protecting us, even as we were driving into Homa Bay, there was a police vehicle in front of us. It disappeared. Those who were around us were completely inactive. The roads had been barricaded for hours. Why didn't the police order that they be cleared? Why didn't they remove the stones, the 2 kilometers from Kodoyo Junction into Homa Bay Fish Market? Why didn't they do that? That is acquiescence. They did not want to assist. And to make matters worse, the police were within the crowd using tear gas in Nyandiwa, in Sindo, to stop guys from accessing the venues of the rally. They did. These are facts. The police who were stoned were actually on a vehicle at the back, and one of their vehicles had stalled. There was a pickup that had stalled.
Who stoned them?
The goons that were attacking us are the ones who attacked them. The police came to hide in our vehicles. Some got into our vehicles. Some were hanging on our vehicles.
Contextualize that one. Contextualize that.
Yes, because... Wait a minute.
The police were stoned by goons.
Yes,
trying to protect who? Who sent the police to protect them?
How many took refuge?
Let's not sensationalize things.
Listen. On the front, there were boulders, there were electric poles. The roads had been blocked. So some of our supporters were clearing the road as we were moving. We were being attacked from behind and on the sides. Some of the policemen who were injured took refuge in some of our vehicles. Others were hanging on our vehicles as we fought our way through. I was there.
So I am with you. I'm just trying to say...
The people who are beating the police are the Wanga goons and the Kaluma goons. They are the ones who are beating the police.
And the police were trying to protect you guys?
No, they were there. They were not trying to protect us. They had AK-47s. Why didn't they fire?
You see, this is a point, Ayub.
So let me ask Honorable Karoli, as you make your point.
Yes.
We also, from the series of the rallies that you did,
yes,
we witnessed also youths in your company who had machete.
Yes. Let me explain.
Do you condemn that as well? Yeah. How did it get there?
Let me explain to you what had happened. These people had barricaded all the roads. When Orengo was trying, not just Orengo, Kibagendi, the rest of the MPs, when they were trying to come into Homa Bay County, they were being stoned at various roadblocks. Rangwe, Rodikopany, Ndiwa. And they were fighting their way through. In Nyandiwa, the population, the people came out and started fighting the goons themselves. And the goons had pangas. The people went and self-armed themselves to come and fight them. In Sindo,
so your machetes?
Not our machetes. The common public, they were being told you can't go to the rally site. They said, why? Why can't we? We had not even arrived. We were still at the airport trying to clear our way through. And the people themselves came out and said, we will defend ourselves. And once, actually, they fought those guys for 4 hours. Once they overwhelmed them, they told us, now you can come. Then we went, and there was peace. But these guys had even tear gas. Yeah? So, you see, all these things is telling us here. The police violence. I have a list here of Luo youths who have been killed in the last 2 months. Abducted, shot, maimed, killed in police custody. I have here. And I read it in Parliament today. You see, the violence is not just against politicians. There has been no government that is violent to Luos like this one. And you know what they are trying to do? They are trying to use Luos to cover it. So today they brought an incompetent person to be the chairman of IPOA. Somebody who does not meet the qualifications.
You mean Dr. Ojwang?
Yes, and we were debating it in the House. I looked at the report. I raised questions. They were very upset. The reason why he's being brought is because he does not have the qualifications. When he will be called upon to do whatever they want, he will toe the line.
So are you saying he's not there by merit?
No, he's not. There are academic deficiencies.
What is the qualification to be the chairperson of IPOA?
We looked at that. You must, let me explain to you. First, the qualifications are those of a judge. Yeah? In Kenya, to be a lawyer, to be a judge, you must be a lawyer, correct? To be a lawyer, you must have had 3 years of full-time training. He is at 2 years. So even the Council of Legal Education does not recognize that qualification. That is a starting point. But the most fundamental one, to be a judge in this country, one of the qualifications is impartiality. So I pose the question, if you went to these boys, the family of Cecil Ouma, the one who was shot in P.S. Firikini's car, Shadrach Onyango, shot in Busia, Frederick Odhiambo, shot in Busia, Dennis Omondi, shot in Vihiga, Tony Onyango, shot in Vihiga, Evans Otieno, still missing up to now, never been found in Nairobi, Michael Olo, still missing up to now, abducted, Eric Otieno, died in Muthaiga police station. Even the family of Albert Ojwang, if you ask them, do they have confidence that this man can investigate the cases impartially? They will tell you no, because they've seen him active in Kenya Kwanza government activities, in NADCO issues. So he is the wrong person. But you know why they brought him? Because under Moi, when the torture was at its peak, the person in charge of internal security was a Luo. The person prosecuting was a Luo. The judge before they appeared was a Luo. The chief torturer was a Luo. So they are doing the same thing now, so that when they beat up the Luos, they can say, but it is your people who are there. We know this game, and we are not going to...
So let me go to Owalo, and I'll come to you, Honorable Nyamika.
Yes.
Ayub, just a point of order.
Can I ask him?
No, I'm not asking a question, just so that we have a structured debate. Can we deal with one issue so that someone is not jumping from the qualification of the guy in IPOA to violence to politics, so that we have a structured debate, so that, because we have asked us which way Nyanza. That's why we are here for the debate. So I just want to ask you as a moderator, so that we have a structured debate. If he is pursuing the line, one, he talked about the censure motion in Parliament. We can finish up with that one. If he's talking about the qualification of the guy who's coming under IPOA, we finish up with that one. If we are talking about the issue that is in Homa Bay, we can talk about it and then finish it, so that we have a structure. Because otherwise, then These guys will, my good friend, will bring in different issues so that I know. But back to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is all this happening because of the absence of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga? Is there a vacuum in your view that is necessitating this?
Of course, yes. I mean, you can't wish, you can't negate the stature and political prowess of Raila Odinga. But in instances like this, a new leadership will always do what? Emerge.
Correct.
But the best way to deal with this is to allow a level playing ground. Yeah? So that the people of Nyanza, and by extension even Kenya for that matter, yeah, have got a variety of choice to pick from the political menu. That's why I'm a very strong advocate of multiplicity of parties in Nyanza, just like in any other part of the what? Of the country. We cannot in this day and age be talking about political enclaves in certain regions, that a certain region is reserved for a given political party. That is inimical to the letter and spirit of multi-party politics. We can't accept that. So the starting point is this. Let us allow different political parties to take part in that political space in Nyanza, so that the people can choose the best leaders that they want. One of the biggest problems, and perhaps this is what is causing this, because I'm talking from experience, because I've been part and parcel of ODM myself, not just as a passive player, but a key cog within that circle, just as Karoli, my friend here as well. One of the biggest challenges we are facing today is that most of the leaders in Nyanza today have never been elected. They were always handpicked. Yeah? And the people, the masses, are not comfortable with their leadership. And this is why they are scared of a different political narrative, yeah, coming from their political opponents on the ground. So they want to zone the region, that this is an exclusive zone for ODM. We don't want political competition. Why? If you are popular, why are you afraid of political competition? So that's where we should start from. We must allow different political parties to participate in that space, just as it is happening in different parts of the country. We must allow multiplicity of candidates for each and every position, all the way from the MCA to the top, to the president, yeah? So that individuals in Nyanza have got the freedom of choice to choose the best, based on individual track record and the agenda for the people moving forward. Not for purposes of political expediency or tribal hero worshipping. I don't subscribe to tribal politics myself, yeah? But in response to the real challenges facing the people. Yeah. The time could not be more ripe. 2027 is the year.
So was that absent in Odinga's presence and present in Odinga's absence?
Well, we have had challenges in giving the people of Nyanza the freedom of choice to choose leaders. We have so many of these, and it is known, it is in the public domain, that most of the leaders we have in Nyanza today are handpicked. They are handpicked leaders. They were never elected. We have got many individuals who would be in parliament today if we had a level playing ground in what? In Nyanza. So we must open that space. And for the avoidance of doubt, next year we are going to have many political parties, starting with PPP, People's Prosperity Party, which I subscribe to, taking part in elections in Nyanza and different parts of the country. We will have many candidates running for different positions. So those in leadership today, either as MPs or governors, they must live up to that reality. Trying to zone Nyanza as an exclusive zone for ODM just because you don't want political competition, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
I just wanted to say, maybe I'll respond to what he's talking about. I mean, I'm an elected leader twice. I was not handpicked. There is no process. There is no path to parliament through handpicking. It is through an elective. You know, people go to the ballot and put in the whatever.
At the nomination level of the party?
At the nomination level. But yes, people still have an opportunity. I come from Migori. I mean, we have had a governor who was on a PDP ticket. All I am saying is that I don't think that there is any political party or any person, whether they want or not, who has the capacity to stop anyone from running. Not at all. But within a coalition, for example, in the broad-based coalition, they can say, okay, fine, we prefer one party to go, and is dissatisfied. For example, I am an ODM member. I will go through the ODM nomination process. If it is fair, I will shake the hands of the person who is winning. If I win, I hope they also do the same. If I find that it is not fair, I still have a path. I can go run on independent.
Was that the case for all ODM party members?
I am talking about what I know. They were, they've said they're the ones at the COG, so maybe they know what exactly was happening there. But all I am
so let's pay attention to what we know.
Every single...
So, let's pay attention to what we know then, and it's in the public domain, for also avoidance of doubt. For example, are you aware of how the nomination process happened in Homa Bay County in the build-up to
in the last election? It was through an opinion poll, and people, Karoli was given a direct ticket, I was given a direct ticket, and we are here in Parliament. But let me tell you, Raila Odinga you are not your ordinary politician. Because if he had the power to say that we want Ayub to be the member of Parliament, and people would listen to him, that was his strength. Give it to him. Give it to him. Because there was no day he put a gun on anyone's head. He would say, ODM party, this area, I want you guys to vote for my person, and this is my person. And people would listen to him. He persuaded in whichever way he used to persuade. There was no gun on anyone's head. Okay? As we go into this election, I think that freedom must be given. Anyway, the freedom is guaranteed by Constitution. If Owalo wants to field in a candidate, for example, in Migori, he will be free, and that person will meet everyone. If Linda Mwananchi wants to field in a candidate in my constituency in the county, they will do, and that person will get on the ballot. The issue that we are saying for Nyanza, and let me come to the issue Karoli was talking about many of our young people that have died. And I really want us to be fair, and we contextualize what they did. For the last 30 plus years, the face of fight for democracy, fight for human rights has been active in our community. And many of our people have known nothing else but fighting for stuff in the street. So that today, when there is anything to be fought for, the first people who present themselves...
Can I fix your mic? Because there seems to be a problem with the communication. And then you'll proceed from there. Don't worry. Just,
Can I say something?
Yeah. Yes.
In response to what he's saying. Yeah? Granted that we have had different candidates running for different positions. But some of these individuals have been curtailed by these acts of violence. That if you are not a candidate in this party, you cannot be allowed to exercise your democratic right freely. You are curtailed in movement, like what happened in Homa Bay the other day. That is what we are against. Yeah? Let each and every candidate for whatever position have the freedom to do what? To campaign freely, without interference, without obstacles, without impediments. Then we are game. Irrespective of whom the people choose, we'll recognize that person as the duly elected
so like
person.
We isolate the issue of violence. You're saying no one should make violence to any other person.
Tick.
And everyone should be allowed to campaign anywhere they want to campaign, in whichever way they want to campaign, but issue-based. However, it is also our right that when people are coming to mislead, for example, the Linda Mwananchi team, and Orengo, who is a senior politician, I mean, a person who's been around for one person who we truly respect. Truth be said, the things that he had gone earlier and said even about Governor Gladys Wanga were really unfortunate. Maybe he said them in vernacular. I can't even pronounce them here on TV. But they were so gross. They didn't show any respect, even for himself. When he spoke about Governor Wanga as a woman who does many other things, it was completely out of space. That one we also condemn. So we are condemning vulgar language. We are condemning disrespect for fellow leaders. We are condemning violence in all its forms. Okay. And we are asking that everyone be given a freedom of association and of speech, for that matter, so that we can get into politics of substance. So today, when we are talking about which way for Nyanza, and that's what I want the gist of this debate should be about, which way for Nyanza? So when my brother says, I was talking about, he's listed the names of Luos. And I also think they're trying to list the name of Luos in their numbers so that, and I sympathize with the families that have lost their loved ones, for that matter. But they want to sympathize so that they draw a bit of sympathy from our people and show that some of our people in government are presiding over the deaths of our fellow brothers. And that's not the truth. And because we have lost many people, think about the post-election violence of 2007. Of the 1,400 plus people who died, close to 1,000 were Luos. Think about the post-election violence when Uhuru Kenyatta came into power. we lost close to over 600 people. About 500 and something were Luos. Okay. Think about this particular election. After Ruto came to power, the street protest, the guys who were on the street, they were Luos. That time, Luos were not in government. So what we are telling the community, and as leaders from that particular region, we are telling our guys, it is okay. We can fight for human rights. But for the time for us to be at the battlefront on street fighting, you know, being the ones who are championing, the ones who lead the protest, is over. We have taken a different direction. Yeah. Let us give that space to other people. Okay. Because do not put yourself on the firing line, and then we try now to use it to draw sympathy. Okay. So we are telling our young people, please retreat back home.
Yeah. Is the ODM party a much weaker party in the aftermath of Odinga's death?
The question is, does it still exist?
As a political party?
Maybe in name and in some small quarters in
Do you think it still exists?
There's no ODM in Coast. Yeah. Very limited areas, pockets here and there. And I think by November, most of them will have joined Linda Mwananchi. Nairobi, ODM will not win any seat. All the ODM seats in Nairobi, 8 parliamentary seats, 36 MCA seats will go to Linda Mwananchi. There's no ODM in Western Kenya. There's no ODM in Kisii. There's no ODM in Masailand. We will take the seats in Wajir, the ODM seats in Wajir. ODM in Nyanza, a few people may survive in ODM, but majority will be with Linda Mwananchi. So I don't see any future in ODM. But you have asked which way Nyanza.
So how many members of parliament from the ODM party at the moment have onboarded Linda Mwananchi?
Let me tell you. Yeah. When Raila told us we were walking out of Ford Kenya and that he was forming NDP, that question was asked. I think it was only Job Omino who left with him. When the elections were held, everybody was with him. Mm-hmm. It is going to happen the same way. Because what we have seen, even on this trip to Homa Bay, from Kisumu into Homa Bay and from Homa Bay back to Kisumu, every little urban center on that road, at night they poured out chanting one time, saying they are with Linda Mwananchi. We are very encouraged. Actually, what really encourages me in Luoland today is that the electorate are smarter than the leaders, far much smarter than the leaders, and they understand the nuances. The leaders, as I said, they are mainly windbags. Windbags are people who talk a lot, but convey very little substance. They talk so much about development. He comes from Migori. The greatest economic activity there, the main economic activity in Migori, is cane farming. The only big manufacturing plant there is Sony Sugar. Sony Sugar was leased out for 260 million. The person only paid 60 million and walked in. He has stripped the company of the vehicles. Okay. He is selling out everything. The fellow has removed people from their quarters. They've reduced the cane per ton. As we speak today, and I want to show you, and I don't know whether he knows this, as the people in government just put another question in Parliament. This is a letter from Cooperative Bank. They are selling the nucleus estate. They are auctioning the nucleus estate. Mark, you may need this for your...
I'm quite aware about it.
So, they are talking about broad-based, yet the jewel of their economic activities is being auctioned. Okay. The people who've leased it want to buy the nucleus estate the way they did with Miwani, where they stole the 10,000 acres, where we wanted to put free economic zone for Kisumu. So they are doing the same. That's a statutory notice of sale. You can clearly see.
Has that affected cane production?
They are not even, I think for a long time they were not even milling there. What they are doing, the people are harvesting the cane. Okay. The leasing was not done competitively. So whoever is leased, they'd like to mill in their own private companies so that they don't pay the compensation to the farmer.
Because I'm looking at the data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and it shows that sugar production rebounded significantly the first half of this year, 2026. Correct. And this is to 143 metric tons between January and now, up from 285,418 tons in the same period in 2025.
So the question is, if it did, why are they allowing importation of sugar, table sugar? The other day, Kibo's sugar imported, and they're importing again.
I come from the sugar belt. At least I have a right to tell you what happened.
Why are they allowing importation of sugar?
Okay, so
if there's enough sugar.
I hosted one of the members who also brought up that point, Marian Ketani.
Yes.
And understandably, that is an industrial sugar.
It was not industrial.
Which will be repurposed. But do you think this has...
not industrial
okay.
sugar. I have documents. If you had asked me, I would have brought them.
So is the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics report incorrect?
I don't know where they got their data from. I am telling you the data I have, the information I have, sugar is...
Where did you get your data from? Let me tell you, I come from Sony. I come from Sony.
And we investigate...
Just a moment. I come from Sony. Karoli does not even know an acre of sugarcane. I am telling you, I'm coming from Sony.
But that does not mean
and I am
what is going on.
So, first, he's given us wrong statistics.
Save the fact
you have actually shared there.
Yes.
Cane production has actually gone higher. That industry was dead. The whole sugar industry, this government paid close to 112 billion to pay off debts. Part of that letter that is talking about from Homa, from Cooperative Bank is part of the debt that actually not been paid. It's about 800 million shillings, if I'm correct.
863 million.
Yeah, it's about 800 million. What was actually supposed to happen, part of the leasing, the requirement is that the lessee is supposed to pay about 50 million shillings every single month to Treasury. Mm-hmm. And when this letter actually came out, and there was a lot of panic, and you know, they've spread a lot of propaganda, about 400,000 acres of nuclear farms for Sony are going to be sold. One Sony does not have 400,000 acres. It's about less than 3,000 acres. The National Treasury, I have spoken to the CS National Treasury. They have already had chats with the Cooperative Bank. They are taking over that one. They are taking over the payment of that debt because it was part of the conditions that they needed to clear off all the outstanding debts. The employees he's talking about who are in the staff quarters, I come from the area and they're my voters. Okay. Let me tell you. Okay.
Can I ask him a question?
Just hold on. Substantially they have been paid, but there is a balance which is for employees who, because you know when a new investor comes in, they've paid almost 90%. Actually, and in the supplementary budget, which was passed in Parliament, Karoli, 2.7 billion was put under sugar sector reforms. That money is supposed to be availed. They're just waiting for exchequer release to pay off the people. They have not been kicked out. They've been given notices. But as soon as they get their money, then they're actually going to be let go. Number two, the price per ton has gone higher. When he's talking about that, it had gone to about 3,600. Now it's over 5,000 shillings. The time for payment for sugar, when you deliver your cane to the factory, people had delivered and waited for years. Today, when you deliver cane, I have delivered cane. I am a sugar cane farmer. When you deliver cane, you will be paid in less than 2 weeks. So I don't know what he's talking about, including disputing data from the...
Can I ask Nyamita a simple question?
Okay.
Let's do.
No, a simple question.
Because we need to move issue by issue.
You are a member of parliament.
Yes.
From a sugar group.
And a senior one. I'm your senior colleague.
Did you ever see a government valuation report before the leasing of the mills?
I do not want. Let me tell you.
No, did you see one?
No, I did not.
Yes, because there's none. How do you lease government assets without a valuation?
That is a different question.
You did not value the sugar cane, the nucleus. You did not value what was in the stores. That is an illegality.
That's a different question.
Because this was a scheme to steal the mills.
That's a different question.
Let's be
honest.
Us,
for the farmers,
how can you support something?
What is the biggest problem for our farmers?
Let's be realistic. That is what the
Listen to me.
Act says.
Well, listen to me. We have had several regimes that let these sugar factories accumulate debt in excess of 100 billion Ayub. In one go, the government committed to clear 102 billion in one check and said, we are paying off debts. Fictitious or otherwise, they just verified a little, but they said, we are paying. Why? Because the livelihoods of people in the sugarcane area had been affected.
Right.
Today, those lives are bounced back.
Okay.
So when you're talking about valuation, that thing was already a scrape.
So that's settled. Allow me to go to Honorable Owalo.
Yes.
Honorable
yes,
Karoli.
Yeah.
Because let's go systematically, issue by issue, so that we theme the conversation, all right?
Yes, yeah.
And this was on the consequence of Odinga's absence in the region.
Yeah.
And I'll come to Nyamita on what happened in Naivasha recently and the Linda Mwananchi representative here.
Okay.
But for you, where do you stand in the divide between Linda Ground and Linda Mwananchi?
I'm very clear on this. You see, within our People's Prosperity Party, we are neither two-term nor one-term. We are fresh-term. And I'll back my argument with valid reasons. Where we are today as a country, we need a paradigm shift. Historically, we have had changes in regime, but the challenges facing Kenyans have remained substantially the same every election cycle or subsequent to every election cycle. Are you with me or you are still busy on the phone?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Okay, and I want you to give me full attention. Okay? We have had successive changes in regime since independence. But the challenges facing Kenyans remain the same since 1963. So what have we been doing? We have all sorts of promises being advanced by politicians during elections. When they get into government, it becomes business as usual, as opposed to business what? Unusual. The same challenges we have had in previous governments, like corruption, yeah, are transitioned to the subsequent government. What happens? A new government comes in, they embrace the same tenderpreneurs that were in the previous what? Previous government. So the problem that we have been having, which must be sorted out now, in this coming election, is the leadership deficit. What type of leader do we need for Kenya? To me, we need a leader who can sort out the punitive taxation regime that has led to the high cost of living index. That's why Kenyans don't have money in the pocket and they are struggling to put food on the what? On the table. We need a new set of leaders. What has been happening every election cycle is that leaders, politicians, cobble together ethnic conglomerates so that they get the numbers and statistics to enable them win elections. Bring your community, I bring my community, another leader brings his or her community, we get the ethnic numbers, we get elected. Once we are in government, we forget about the people and we think about ourselves in government. We must fix that this coming elections. And the people are ahead. Kenyans today, if you talk to any Kenyan from any part of the country, they'll tell you that they don't care about tribe. What they want is the right leadership that can sort out the challenges facing Kenyans. And those challenges are universal to all Kenyans, irrespective of where they come from. And that's why I'm saying it is pointless, yeah, to either continue with the current leadership that is not addressing the fundamental challenges facing Kenyans today, or bring in a new set of leadership that is going to continue with business as usual. So given the opportunity, and I really want to plead with the Kenyans this time round, let us elect a combination or a team of transformational leaders that are really going to truly fix the challenges facing the common mwananchi. Otherwise, it will be a question of just changing the forest, yeah, but the monkeys remain the same, or you replace the monkeys with baboons. Yeah. So it's a zero-sum game.
Okay, figuratively then. Yeah. Aren't you one amongst the many monkeys in Kenya's political establishment? Did you underestimate or overestimate when you supported the present administration? You talked about taxation, yeah, punitive tax proposals, yeah, in the first finance bill 2023. Yeah. In 2024, Kenyans, yeah, went to parliament and, yeah, said, do not pass these punitive tax proposals contained in the bill. Yeah. You sat in cabinet, yeah, supported the government, co-authored, engineered the better plan. You are not if you want to offer fresh political sled then, yeah, do you also take the blame? Or would you be, can you fairly not be part of the wholesale condemnation of the political elite?
I walked out of government because I didn't want to betray my conscience. Having been in government and having come from the private sector, yeah, I've got existential experience in the private sector, having been a consultant also to government. I actually, for your information, I've developed most of the strategic plans in this country, whether they are for line ministries or parastatal. So I understand in totality the operations of government. I also have existential experience in government, positive experience and also challenges faced in government. When I was Minister for ICT, CS for ICT, yeah, I led a transformational digital and creative economy agenda that entailed the digital superhighway, rolling out the 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable, setting up the Wi-Fi hotspots, yeah, establishment of digital hubs, yeah, digitalization of government services from a mere 350 services when we came into government to a whopping over 20,000 services within a period of 1.5 years. Yeah? So my track record speaks for itself as a performer. When I was CS for ICT, yeah, under my leadership, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission did an audit of all ministries, governance audit of all government ministries, and the Ministry of ICT was voted by EACC as the least corrupt under my leadership. So my track record speaks for itself. But having said that, you are aware I transitioned from CSICT to another cabinet-level position as Deputy Chief of Staff, where I was responsible for supervising the rollout of all government programs and projects. Okay? So I had the benefit of touring different parts of the country. But wherever I went, people told me that, look, whatever you guys do, so long as we don't have money in the pocket, and we are struggling to put food on the table, we are not going to vote for you people. And they asked me, they told me, Owalo, you seem to be cut from a different cloth. We have monitored your performance in government. And today, where Kenya is, we do not necessarily need a legacy politician at the helm as president. We need a technocrat, manager who can look after the resources of this country. And from where we sit as Kenyans, we feel you fit the bill. And that's why I stepped out of government, so that I can lead, by example, I can lead this third and final liberation of this country, which in my view is economic emancipation.
So one of the major issues that Kenyans also decried about, so this is to take you back to the paperwork you presented to the Kenyan people. Then your candidate won power. Page 20 of the Better Plan, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, helped emphasized on the need for the housing question to address that. So which later on ended up reduction as a levy. And Kenyans decried about that. So in your manifesto, you pointed out that the Kenya Kwanza administration will commit 250 billion in the financial year 22-23 to 26-27, of which budget commitment 50 billion will be made, with 200 to be financed by pension funds. In bracket, assets under management currently stands at 1.5 trillion and other collective investment schemes, including diaspora bonds. At no point did you mention that you will deduct Kenyans. But let me ask, why did you not resign from government when the matter was before Parliament and Kenyans said no?
But why did I resign from government? I resigned from government because I was not comfortable with the certain ongoings in government. You have not asked me that.
But,
I thought you
as early as you could have done that, to be fair, isn't it?
Ayub Waziri eloquently elaborates the things that he delivered. Digitizing of government services from X number to over 20,000. Rollout of digital superhighway. He wants to associate that with himself. But when we tell him this has been done by the Kenya Kwanza government under President William Ruto, he says no.
I've not said so. I was part of that.
So this is the thing.
He admitted.
Just a minute. Mark, can you allow me to finish?
Okay.
Because I gave you also your time when you are advancing your arguments. You see, I talked about my performance, where I was the responsibility center as cabinet secretary for what? For ICT. Not the sum total of performance of government, because I was not the responsibility center in that context. The buck stops with the president as the CEO, is the accountable center. These are the facts of the case. If I'm president today, I'm responsible, fully responsible and accountable for all acts of omission and commission in government. So you cannot tell me that if there were certain challenges in the housing sector, just because I was in government, I should become liable and accountable.
The deductions is what Kenyans decried. Yes, Mark.
And I just want to speak about ICT.
No, not ICT. So
no. It's good to challenge on what he's talking about is his track record.
Okay, can we be thematic because of also getting more extensive coverage? So out of the Naivasha UDA-ODM party meeting, give us, because if I look at some of what the coalition is likely going to point out, with this divide, aren't you a much weaker party, given what Kina Karoli and the likes are doing?
Well, I think Karoli is giving his opinion. His opinion because he says he was ODM and he stepped out and now he's pursuing. And, everyone has to pull. When you speak to Owalo, Owalo went to 2-3 places and a few people told him that they want someone who's cut from a different cloth. And Owalo is here saying that, he's going to be the technocrat and whatever. So everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But when we were in Naivasha, we had over 300 members of parliament, and that is both the Senate and the National Assembly. And you could see it from the group photo, the guys who were there. So, you see, politics is not something that you speak what is in your mind. It is actually what you actually see. And in that Naivasha meeting, by the way, the major agenda, which we tasked the president, we asked him, tell us what you've done over the last 4 years. He went pillar by pillar. even if you speak about this thing, people talk about SHA. There's an ongoing health summit. Yesterday, there was even a town hall being led by the president. And he asked, please ask me those difficult questions. And Ayub, we can disagree with the president on many issues. How he looks, how he carries himself. But in terms of being fair in the distribution of the national cake, he has made a good attempt. He might not have attained 100%, but he has made a good attempt. So he did list the things that he has done in each and every sector. And if time will allow, we can highlight some of them. He did list each one of them. And he said, guys, now I have done this. I want us to do more. So, because now and you remember that day was actually, the countdown began on that day. So he said, now that we want to do more, we are one team. Can we now come together? Let's correct the things that might have not gone right. Let us strengthen the ones that are working. And let us develop this relationship into now a proper coalition so that we can all speak. Because all of you guys who came from ODM had a different vision on certain issues. I also had a different vision on certain issues. Let us try and see how we merge it. Then they formed a 10-member committee, 5 from either side, and said, okay, fine, you guys go and harmonize. In harmonizing the manifesto, they will pick views from different people. Okay. Or this is what is not working, this is not working. And then they'll come up with a final document that will be presented to Kenyans as a way of going into the next election. So while with his party, will come with his. Linda Mwananchi will come with his. And then when we stop all these other things, the next time we are sat here on this table, so Karoli will be saying on health. The current government has moved the registration from 8 million to 32 million. People covered under SHA, and they are paying this amount. For us, we want to move it from 30 to 50, or we want to go back to NHIF, which only had 8 million. And the Kenyans will decide. We will say on roads that had stalled for all these years, including a road in Gongon constituency, where he said that zero work had happened. For 60 years, there was not a single tarmac road in his own area. In less than 4 years, he has almost about over 100 kilometers of road that has actually been earmarked, either contractors are on site or ongoing, including the road where they were utilizing. In fact, sometimes I ask myself, you know, when I'm elected to parliament, Ayub, through the people of Uriri, I speak for my people first, because they're the ones who give me the charter to get to the table, to discuss their matter. I first represent, I sit in the National Assembly, but I first represent the people of Uriri. Karoli here represents the people of Suba South first. I want him to look in the eyes of the Suba people who have not had a tarmac for all those years and tell them, guys, this regime that has come that is now doing for us roads, we are saying, please, let's move out of it. Let's hope that we are going to get another one. The one that has actually ensured that, you know, there was a time, there was a very serious disaster in Sindo, where there was a flood because of the drainage on that area. And I remember it killed people in Karoli's constituency. In fact, I remember him even telling us that, including his CDF secretary, was one of the victims during that time. In that town now, the drainage is being fixed. It is being tarmacked. Irrigation to improve food security in his own area has been allocated close to about 180 million. It is actually happening. So I want him to look into the eyes and say, guys, all those things don't matter. Let us move out of this government after waiting for 60 years. And that is why we are saying, for Nyanza, we will not allow a few people out of their own personal differences or with either the president or the people who are in government to mislead a whole community.
Yes.
And drive us to anger.
You know, that talk, Baba left us in broad-based government. Oh, we have development. What is it counting are very insignificant things to the overall scheme of things. Those are not things that should make you lose your mind and your focus.
I have not lost my mind, clearly.
Things that are important to the governance of a country. You see, there have been, you saw on your news item here, we had the Talanta Stadium. Talanta Stadium, the original cost was 18 billion. It was adjusted to 32 billion. Finally, it was signed off at $345 million, 42 billion. No tender, no third-party review, nothing. So you can have a stadium, it can stand there. But what is the cost of corruption in it? How many people have you deprived of medicine? How many people have you deprived of other educational opportunities by building that stadium and inflating the cost? It is the same thing with Rironi, building the dwelling of Rironi. Infrastructure projects must be subjected to independent design, independent competition, independent review. That is not happening in this government. All those irrigation projects we are talking about, you know very well, we were with you when I was extracting them from the archives and doing the letters.
Correct.
But those are small issues that should not confuse my mind to the big picture of governance in this country. That is what we are trying to say. And what I'm trying to tell you, our leaders in Luoland have brought shame to the community by talking about very mundane and pedestrian things as if they are some gospel that we should follow, that Baba left us in broad-based. The political power of the Luo people is in the association with the other communities. That is where Baba left us, with the Luyas, with the Kambas, with the Masais, with everybody who has been supporting us.
Yes.
So that is what we should focus on, and Baba taught us that a country should be governed properly. Rule number one, there must be rule of law.
But on that very note, on
democracy.
Talanta Stadium...
So,
let me just
yeah, so all those things you are being told are neither here nor there. The issue is this: is Kenya going on the right direction? No. That is not the issue. I mean, today, the violence in Homa Bay, the instability that you see in the region, is not just a threat to Kenya, it's a threat to the peace and security of the region called Kenya. And a lot of countries around us are concerned whether this administration will hold Kenya together into the next election and maintain peace and law and order. And the international community is equally concerned. So when we talk about governance and we talk about what we want for Kenya, let us be people who focus on big picture issues. Not small things that are 50 million health centers being put next to my home. So that is such a big thing that we should go and tell Luos we must now do this. Those are basic things.
Let me
go to...
Can I pick something? Because we are discussing the development of Nyanza within the context of which way Nyanza. And I'm a strong advocate of real development of Kenya as a country and Nyanza as a region, as part and parcel of the wider Kenyan community. And I'm talking from experience because I understand Nyanza well. I was the consultant for development of the first strategic plan for the Lake Region Economic Bloc. I've also facilitated the Nyanza International Investment Conference, where we discussed pertinent issues of development in Nyanza and came up with reports where all sorts of stakeholders were involved, from government, private sector, and even international community. If we really want to develop Nyanza, there are about 10 projects that we need to implement. The first one is the Koru Soin Dam. That will sort out the flooding in the Nyando area. It will help us with electricity, additional electricity to the national grid. It will also help us with water for irrigation and even water for domestic use. In the same vein, we should sort out the Magwagwa Dam in Kisii. Next, we should upgrade the Kisumu International Airport to a real international airport for purposes of cargo, so that we can get our produce from the farm and export our fruit, like avocado, from the farm and export to overseas markets. Get our fish from the lake and export directly, to external market. We need this Lake Region Ring Road, Lake Victoria Region Ring Road. That will open up the entire ecosystem of the Lake Region. It will facilitate trade among not only the Nyanza counties, but also between the Nyanza counties and other counties and even the neighboring countries. That will open up that region for purposes of commerce and trade. The next project that we need to pursue is the dwelling of Kisumu-Busia Road. That again will facilitate ease of connectivity to the border. Okay. Then we need an abattoir in Migori. The meat from the cow in Migori today is of very high value. The cow, the skin, the hide from the cow today, we are selling at about 50 shillings. The person who buys the hide exports it to Italy. It is processed and they use one cow skin to make 3 Bali shoes. They come back here, sell us a pair of Bali shoes at 15,000 shillings, like what Karoli is wearing. So that means we sell the skin of a cow at 50 shillings. Somebody makes a profit of 44,950 shillings from that. Why can't we have an abattoir in Migori so that we process the hides and skins there? We make local shoes. We can sell our shoes to our students in school at affordable prices. And then we can also export the meat to Dubai. And Mark, I'm saying Dubai, I'm not talking of Singapore. Yeah? we sell our meat to Dubai. Then we need a potato processing factory in Korea. We go to Kisii. We need a soapstone factory in Kisii, a proper rice mill in Ahero. Then we revitalize our cotton. Once we do that, then we augment it with electricity, water, and roads as critical infrastructure. Then we are good to go. So not these mundane things. I'm not negating what this government has done. It is positive. But I'm saying, considering the years of neglect and systematic marginalization that Nyanza has undergone since independence, those are about 10 major projects that will revitalize the economic base of Nyanza.
I like the submission of Eliud Owalo. Spot on, actually. I agree with you, Eliud, that Kuru Soindam needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's in the plan. It's in the plan. Part of the infrastructure fund that Karoli and I passed in Parliament, one of the projects that has actually been listed for funding is actually Kuru Soindam.
Under what framework?
The infrastructure fund that we're talking about. When the money has actually been raised, one of the biggest projects that is actually going to be undertaken has been listed from the region to be funded under that. Because the government didn't have the money. The government didn't have the money, so now they're raising it. The infrastructure fund is going to be able to take care of it. See, it's actually in the plan. I just need to inform him. That's number one. Number two, he spoke about the Lake Ring Road, which I spoke to. Has already been signed. We are hoping the contractor is going to do it next year. It's already been signed. Started long time, during the time when Kibaki was in power. Uhuru came, Kibaki finished, Uhuru came, and now Ruto has actually enabled it. CS Mbadi has already signed for the money from World Bank, and World Bank are going to fund the whole project. That is actually being done. He's talking about fish processing, that yes, we need to get our fish so that it is ready for export. In Nyanza, the fish landing sites are actually being done in all the counties, and you can count them, because we have to start from somewhere. In his own place in Asembo, there is one. If you come to Kisumu, there is one. If you come to Migori, there is one. Exactly the things that he's actually talking about. He is talking about that we need to have the airport upgraded so that we can actually take export.
For purposes of cargo.
Yeah, for purposes of cargo, so that we can actually export. That's okay, that's an easier thing to do. But what have we done downstream? When fertilizer is cheaper, farmers are going to be able to do it. Because even right now, even if you upgraded it today, the question is, from Asembo where it comes from Homa Bay where it comes from, where he is negating the programs of government, yet there's an irrigation program which he initiated that is going to help his people to do a bit of agricultural activity. Even if today Kisumu was cargo ready, which cargo are we going to get from Nyanza to export? There is none. There is none. So there is investment in agriculture by availing affordable fertilizer so that our farmers can be able to do. So all these things, but all the things said and done.
Okay.
Let me just, let us be reasonable. And you know, we are talking to our people. They cannot be done in a day. 60 years, Ayub, we have waited. The things that they are talking about mundane, our people truly appreciate because they've never seen them. Karoli can come here and say, okay, there's a 50 million worth of a hospital that has been there. But people have died more than the people he's counting on the list because of lack of that particular hospital. So we appreciate.
Okay.
The women in the markets, including the markets where he went to preside over the opening in his own constituency, have been selling by the roadside. Today you can come here and say, you know, it is some 50 million shillings worth of a market, 60 million. Mundane. The women there appreciate.
Okay.
He can disregard the 50 million. The TTI in Suba, the TTI in Uriri is producing students who are now going to join the rest of Kenyans in economic building. You can disregard it and say it is a small thing. We have missed big things.
Okay. So
we have missed the bigger things for 60 years.
Yeah. Mheshimiwa
If
Karoli,
we get the small ones, we appreciate.
Yeah. Okay. Mheshimiwa Karoli, What will it take for Linda Mwananchi to work with the president?
Which president?
The president.
President Ruto? No. What is happening?
Considering Kenya is Kenya's political strange bedfellows.
No. That is where we are running from. It's a sinking ship. Where would we go back to drown? We can't go there. Let me tell you, Linda Mwananchi is conscious of the fact that Kenyans are determined to make change. Number one, Kenyans want a united opposition. Number two, Kenyans want clear program, an agenda-based formation of government, not just people coming together, but a platform, a change platform. And number three, they want leaders to work together to deliver that change. So as Linda Mwananchi, our focus is in uniting the entire opposition, bringing everybody together on the basis of a shared platform. And then we go ahead and put up the team that will deliver that change. We believe we have enough good people to work with in the opposition. And I'm very happy. Things are gelling out very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the
very well.
In the nascent days of this administration, you, Honorable Makuriri, Waziri was at the time in
Correct.
cabinet.
Yes.
You warmed up to the president.
Yes.
Of course, you are years dating back to when you served at the office of the Prime Minister in the Grand Coalition government.
Yes.
What changed you flipped political belonging now?
I never changed. I never changed. I went to engage with the president. He was there. He was there. Specifically on projects. And mine were basically two projects. The Mbita-Sori Road and the Lake Victoria Ring Road. Because I knew as an opposition MP, if I went to Ministry of Roads to talk to the minister or the PS, they'll be not as quick to help me as if I'd gotten, and it would be quicker if I got the signal from the president. And actually, all of us here, we agreed we will meet the president in daytime. We didn't want to meet him in secrecy.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
yes,
true.
we went and met him in daytime. We didn't hide it. We took a picture and left. And we discussed development, and we told him we need you to sign off on these issues. Because that is the nature of politics in this country. And that is what we want to walk away from. So we did that. After I did that, look at my record in Parliament. That infamous finance bill of 2024, I brought 18 amendments to it. 17 passed. Go and check. I never supported anything about government blindly. Look at my record. I opposed SHA. I explained the financial structure of SHA will not work. The 104 billion shillings for the software management, I opposed that. Go and look at my record on university funding model. I opposed that. And that time I was just with the government as people perceived. I just like to do my work as a legislator. Yeah, and my work as a legislator is just to be independent. Yes, there's no single day that I turned around and started saying all the things that I hear most of our brothers saying today.
Yeah.
Yes, but I challenge you, go and look at my record.
Yes,
In
Yes,
Parliament, it speaks for itself.
So ideally, the pathway politically for Mark Nyamita and Karole Omondi is clear.
Yes.
What is your political pathway? Are there leaders you're looking up to?
Oh, yes. There are quite a number of good leaders whom I believe I can work with, transformational leaders in my view, who can facilitate the much desired real change for this country. But I'm talking also from experience. I want you to benefit from my experience in presidential elections. In 2013, I was the head of the Presidential Campaign Secretariat and Chief Campaign Manager for Raila Odinga. I was again a key cog in the Ruto campaign in 2018. So I've got experience in these issues of political formations and coalitions. Real political formations for purposes of elections take place about 6 months to elections. It's still fairly early. Yeah, it's still fairly early. I believe that in the fullness of time, the political tectonic plates will attain an equilibrium. As we speak today, we are going to have a lot of shifts and turns. I know of so many people in government who are waiting to join the opposition at the right time. I also know of so many people who are in the opposition for purposes of negotiating to go back to government. Yeah, I'm telling you from experience. I've seen it happen before and it will happen again. So the real political formations will take place. Coalitions for purposes of elections will take place about 6 months to elections. I'm neither two-term nor one-term as we speak. Okay. I'm fresh-term. I'm advocating for a paradigm shift in the leadership of this country, and I believe that there is an opportunity for Kenyans to elect a new set of transformational leaders who are really aligned to the wishes and aspirations of the Kenyan people in response to the real challenges facing Kenyans today. And these challenges are urgent. The time to fix them is this coming elections. That's why we need to sort out the leadership deficit that we have had since independence. And I don't believe that some of the legacy politicians that we have today can sort out those problems. And believe you me, my friend Abdikadir Ayub, I've worked with all these politicians. When I was heading the Raila campaign, who are the co-principals there? It was Kalonzo and Wetangula. Then I had a stint in ANC. Yeah? I worked very closely with Musalia. Then I've worked with Ruto as well. I know these people like the back of my hand, in and out. And I can tell you without fear of contradiction that some of my worthy opponents who have stepped forward to run for presidency of this country do not have the will to facilitate real change in this country. And I want Kenyans to believe me.
Yeah. Mark, your party is angling itself for the deputy presidential position.
I think, actually, I like to put it differently. That we have generally agreed that we're going to support President William Ruto as a broad-based coalition. And all the other seats, and people think about them as positions of power, but I like to look at them as positions of responsibility. So we will avail ourselves for positions of responsibility of all the other seats to be there.
So the ODM party is senior, both in birth, of course, older than the UDA party, and has never failed to produce a presidential candidate since its inception.
Yes.
Why is it going to be different next year?
It's because I think, I mean, if we were to say the truth, is that maybe there wasn't proper succession planning within ODM, and as is in other political parties as well. And maybe it's about time our democracy matured that political parties can begin to plan for proper succession planning. Because you see, when Raila exited, he had like about 4 deputies. And those 4 deputies, none of them became a party leader. The truth is that the succession planning was not properly in place. There was an array of leaders there, of course, all capable. So for that reason, therefore, there's no clear front runner. But let me speak about this issue of a presidential candidate.
You mean the party has no individuals politically made of good material to produce a president?
We like to be realistic. Yeah. I mean, even me, I can be president. I think I meet all the qualifications of becoming a president. Myself, I think so. But I don't think I am ready for. We need to be practical. I do not have the national experience of being able to galvanize a vote across the country to be able to, for example, propel me to government. And you know, there's something Eliud said here that is very critical, that we need to get leaders with a track record. We need to get leaders who we can challenge on what they have done and what exactly they plan to do. If we had time, we could go through all the particular leaders who have actually presented themselves. What is it that they can show? What is it that they can show that will warrant them? That we can say so-and-so is a transformational leader, that I has transformed this one from this one to the other one, so that we can take them to the presidency. Okay. So that is why we even challenge the guys in opposition. The last time I was asking them, please name the presidential candidate. And they said, no, we are not going to name the presidential candidate because it is our strategy. And why do we want the presidential candidate named earlier, if you ask me? If we are to be fair to Kenyans, so that we don't end up with a mistake, if at all. If Mark Nyamita is going to be the presidential candidate, let us name him today. Let Kenyans have time to interrogate the track record of that gentleman from school, from where he has worked, from the things he has done, from offices he has held, from, complete interrogation. So that by the time we're getting into the election, all the things have actually been done. This mistake of people going normally into, and you know, we say that the tectonic plates attain an equilibrium about 6 months to, to the elections.
Yeah.
But even then, there are different presidential candidates that said, this is the person we have as a presidential candidate. When you have your clear ideology that you want to actually portray, because the whole of opposition now, the ideology is one term. Is the president must go. Because Karoli is here, my good friend. And you know, this is my very good friend, by the way. And we are both Sudanese. Yeah, we actually, you know, I say that Subas are slightly above Luos. And, we are hybrid. So we are both Sudanese, me and Karoli. But if you ask Karoli today, for example, in his formation, what is your plan about SHA or about health coverage? The current one that you're saying is not working is up to 32 million people covered. We have seen, yesterday we saw, including Karen Hospital, which is a private hospital, has actually received their money. Most hospitals have actually been revived, including private hospitals, religious-based faith organizations. We were actually in the waiting room, but even with the Secretary General of KMPDU, David, he was saying the doctors went strike. There were 18 issues. He reported to the three of us while we were there. He said 15 of them have actually been resolved. And that's what he said yesterday. He said if it is working, it's not. He said that doctors, when they said they were going to pay them 70,000, they went on strike. He said over the last 3 years, they have taken 6,000 doctors every single year on internship, being paid 210,000. They are happy. They are the people in the health sector. So what is your plan? That's the thing.
Okay.
Because one term in itself is not enough.
All right.
And that's why we are saying for Nyanza, we don't want people to come and confuse our people. That, oh, you know, a few deaths here have happened. And we are saying one life lost is far too many.
Okay.
But trying to use that to try and confuse the whole region, that's what we are going to deny them.
I'm going to get to Karoli, then of questions we respond to, all right, from
I also
Kenyans.
have something,
Yeah.
one more thing.
We have enough time, yes.
We're asking us about our plan.
Yes.
Why should we tell them what our
What is
plan
Linda
is?
Mwananchi, I mean, as an alternative,
Yes.
given that you are seeking the mandate of the people,
Yes.
what are you planning to offer the Kenyan people?
Better governance. Better governance
In
on
the-
everything.
in the-
Actually, let me tell you this. What this country needs are not these long manifestos and all these things they tell you about. He's telling you we've enrolled 38 million. How many are
32
paying?
million.
32 million. How many are paying? How many have access? That's not the issue. The issue in this country, number one, is how to make government efficient so that the leakages, the wastage, what is draining all the resources. So efficiency and the methodology of the efficiencies that will, how to streamline efficiency into government processes is a very important issue. The second issue is accountability. What is killing this country is the fact that people steal and they are not held accountable. People mismanage government resources, they are not held accountable. People breach the law like they did in Homa Bay, they are not held accountable. When you want to develop a great country, it's not brick and mortar. It's not about all these things they talk about, oh, we will do this. It is about values. So number three is you make sure you instill the proper values in the educational system, in the work ethic. And
Agree with me. They just are it normally. It's generalities.
Those are very basic things.
It's
Anybody can
generalities.
sit down. Let me tell you, I can sit down with experts and design a medical insurance scheme. That is not the big issue. The big issue is the software of the country, which are the things I'm telling you. And that is where this government has completely failed. This is the first government in the history of Kenya that knows talk about corruption. They don't. They don't go anywhere. No, nobody, not the ministers, not the president, nobody talks about fighting corruption.
Yeah.
They don't want.
Okay. So let's
No, but I wanted to say something.
Let
small
the
before-
feedback is plenty,
Okay.
so you will respond to all of those
So we turn? Or we see?
as you deem comfortable.
Okay.
Okay. So Babu Michael says the first one, Ayub, most Luo Nyanza leaders are not giving the youths in the region the right political empowerment they urgently need, because that they get the advantage of misleading them to the politics of psychophancy for their own good. Okay, that's an observation. Nyantika Chester says, pleasing one's master in the political space should not be done at the expense of human life. Utter shame. on the architects and the perpetrators of the violence meted on Linda Mwananchi rallies in Homa Bay County. What's the work of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission? Washika Ken says Nyamita should know that citizens are entitled to infrastructural development equally across the country because of their taxes. Homa Bay has received over 90 billion from the national government since devolution. We should be seeing value for money.
Correct.
Lit says, Honorable Karoli, why not call out the Linda Mwananchi leaders who incited the youth to retaliate and encourage them to be armed with stones? You know exactly what Babu Owino said. Maybe you can respond to that?
When did Babu ask people to arm? When we were being attacked?
When you first stopped at Sindo.
No, when we were not under attack in Sindo. By the time we got in, the people themselves had cleared the goons.
Yeah.
The only time Babu spoke was when we were entering Homa Bay town. And he took the microphone and he said, you guys, we have to go together, keep the vehicles moving, and make sure we don't leave each other behind. And he kept on saying, let's push, push, push. And I think he did very good work, because that is how we cleared off the road, and that's how we entered and penetrated.
Also, from our analysis of the clips that we have managed to sift through, a lady by the name Nyar General said some unprintable words about Governor Gladys Wanga.
Who is Nyar General?
I can't simply say that on TV. It was that bad. I mean,
okay, I've not seen that.
You passed the microphone over to Babu, and then Babu passed it to her.
Oh, the one in Sindo?
Yes.
No, did she talk about, she spoke about another lady, a local politician.
Were the words in your view?
The one who was standing behind Babu.
Yep.
Yeah, with a scarf.
Yes.
Yeah, something like... Yeah.
And white T-shirt.
White T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yes, she talked about some local politicians. She didn't talk about Governor Wang. Yeah. Even yesterday when Mheshimiwa Ndolo made some unsavory remarks, Orengo quickly corrected it.
Okay.
Yes.
So Kelly Obara says Ruto is a political genius. He has successfully split the Mount Kenya and Luo Nyanza vote block. We are watching Luo versus Luo violence, Linda government versus Linda Inchiches, not checkers. Divide et impera. Tyrone says, let the law investigate and establish who planned, funded, executed, and supervised what happened. Kenyans deserve the truth, not political blame games. Engineer Lazaro says, ICC deal with the high-profile cases from failed states. Homa Bay Linda Mwananchi rally chaos still far from ICC threshold. Let's talk of strengthening our institutions. Tyrone again says, politics should be about ideas, policies, and solutions, not forced slogans or political theatrics. Kenyans deserve leaders who can explain what they will deliver, not just what they oppose. Kabete says any sensible leader should condemn what happened in Homa Bay on Sunday. It is red flag on what is likely to transpire in 2027 general election in the Nyanza region. The culture of goonism should be tamed now. Ras Bashir Were says, Eliud Owalo, why should Nyanza support you based on your ideas rather than your regional identity? Are you genuinely building a national political movement, or is the People's Prosperity Party simply a vehicle for the 2027 election?
Now, you know, I'm running for the presidency of Kenya. Yeah. I'm not running for the presidency of Nyanza. I've been asked this question 1,001 times, and I'll not tire responding to it. I've been asked, where is your stronghold? My stronghold are the youth who have not been given an enabling environment to exploit their potential. The women who do not have financing to undertake their itinerary trade. Civil servants who cannot make a living because of punitive taxation. Yeah? I want to work with value chains. I don't want to be part of the normal way of doing politics where you go run to your community and put it together, then you run to the national negotiating table. And that's why I'll pick a bone with my friend Mark.
Yeah.
When he advances the argument that they have accepted to support Ruto because Ruto will be the presidential candidate and ODM will provide the deputy presidential candidate. That is parochial political thinking that will not take us anywhere, will not change anything. We should be getting into political coalitions and formations because we want to sort out high cost of living, punitive taxation, yeah, bad governance, corruption, wastage in government. We sort out the mess in the education sector and health, create opportunities for our youth through the digital and creative economy and sports. So we need to do, just a minute, you know, when you are talking, I was listening. So be a good listener because you are a leader.
Yeah.
So
it was Owalo specifically.
Yes. So we need to build coalitions based on the agenda that we have for Kenyans in response to the fundamental challenges facing Kenyans, not because of how we want to share positions. We have shared positions since independence, but it has not taken us anywhere. We are still facing the same challenges. So that is my stronghold.
Okay.
The value chains I want to work with.
Okay, that was the clarity Ras wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, John Ogara says, both sides, Linda Mwananchi and ODM, are responsible for the shameful violence in Homa Bay. Linda Mwananchi leaders, for example, initiated the tensions by visiting Homa Bay 4 times this year and hurling insults and all other unprintable words at the local leadership. Kim says, Honorable Nyamita, you cannot expect Sifuna group to carry Bibles and Korans plus hymn books to go and meet a well-planned goons team as evidenced earlier. They should at least carry some protective items in self-defense.
And that's a problem. So we are saying 2 wrongs don't make a right. Because if that's what we're going to, whatever, the 2 wrongs will not essentially make a right.
There we are together.
Yeah, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Okay, we move on. Homa says the 2027 election must be a contest of ideas, policies and votes, not a competition over who can deploy the most dangerous gang. Churchill Omondi says the current political skirmishes beleaguering Kenya reminds me of George Orwell's novella, The Animal Farm. Homa again says, who recruits, transports, pays and commands political goons? It's not enough to arrest the young men at the scene while ignoring whoever financed and deployed them. Sir Nixon says Kenya one time suffered a lot from outlawed gangs. Central had Mungiki, the larger Western Kenya had Sungu and Baghdad Boys. Kisii had Chinkororo, while the coast had MRC. All of them have now reincarnated and consolidated to just goons. It's so sad. Bakachai says there are reports of Linda Mwananchi ferrying goons to their rallies. Can Karoli Omondi deny this? Because it's rather suspicious that it's their faction that attracts goonism the most.
We don't ferry anybody to our rallies. We don't brand anybody in our rallies. Our rallies are the most organic in the country. Unfortunately, we only get attacked where ODM is present. Those are the places we get attacked whenever we go to have our rally. So ODM should answer. And they invoke the ODM party name and the name of President Ruto. They should tell us where they attack us.
Okay. Next is from Orut Wasam, says, all the elected members in our country are letting us down instead of spearheading peace, are instead promoting violence while they keep safe distance with their families as if the reward as, putting them in power to us like tools of violence. Eliud Owalo, again, this is for you. You sat at the government table and knew how the security system works. So what exactly changed? That's one. If you now claim the security apparatus has failed, can you name the people who mobilized the goons in Homa Bay? Or is this just political grandstanding after leaving office?
You know, I'm always very focused and forthright in all my political propositions or postulations. My argument, the argument I'm advancing is that we cannot have a situations where well-known goons, because these goons are known. The goons which have been terrorizing Kenyans in different parts of the country are known. Ask anybody in Kisumu who is leading the goons. They'll tell you who is leading the goons. Ask anybody in Homa Bay who is leading the goons in Homa Bay or even Migori. They'll tell you they know these people. Ask the people in Olkalau or even in parts of Mount Kenya who are the goons who have been terrorizing politicians. These are people who are well known. But the question I'm asking myself is, can all this happen in the full glare of the police, yet the police do nothing? That's why I feel I'm developing the proposition that the police are perhaps accomplices in all this.
Next is from K_Kodo, who says, can you ask Mark Nyamita why he is defending Sony Sugar, yet our sugar cane cannot be harvested by the same company? The owner is allegedly importing sugar and packaging. Privatization was a terrible mistake.
Well, I don't know where he's asking from, because even right now there's a shortage of sugar. There's a shortage of sugarcane. Both Sony, Sukari, and Transmara are looking for sugarcane all over.
But
so I don't know.
That's not what you said in that report.
No, what I'm saying,
supporting.
there is shortage of sugarcane from the farms. Guys, I'm from the sugar region.
Exactly.
And it's
but
because...
you say there's been bumper production. That's what you say.
No. What I am saying, and
putting.
this, normally it happens. Normally it happens. Is because they've not increased the let me speak about capacity. No, just, Karoli, let's have some order. Let me just help clarify a few things. The sugar production in this country cannot meet its demand, that's for sure. So, when the factory, because of the demand for sugar, they have gone and harvested cane, including cane that was not fully mature. You understand? And you remember we are coming from an era where the sugar factories were not working. So farmers had actually left a bit of sugarcane farming. When the factory is back, then people have now gone back to sugarcane. It takes time for them to mature. The bulk of the sugarcane that was actually being crushed was what was under nucleus. You understand? So now they have finished, then there is a bit of a shortage. That's why even sometimes they slow down even to operate. That's actually how it works.
Which was never valued.
Before
so
you get out of
the value,
briefly,
may I request that you call us back one day so that we just exclusively discuss matters sugar. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered on this sugar issue.
Okay.
We need about 2 to 3 hours to discuss it.
That's fine.
As a standalone issue.
Okay. My producer Monica says approved. Okay. Mike Mudhumba says, I like how Karoli Omondi keeps pulling reference materials straight out of his pockets, one after the other, as if he came to the studio with a portable library. At this rate, the question isn't which way Nyanza, it's which pocket next. Joseph Mwikia says, Homa Bay is hurting, dusty, broken roads, choking trade, while political violence adds salt to the wound. Neglect has turned Homa Bay into Kenya's Yemen, not because of its people, but because of failed priorities. This is from Kidi Mwaga, the convener of the Interparties Youth Forum, which houses youths across the country. He says Karoli is out of order to say that investment in the Luo Nyanza region are mundane, yet in the last 60 years our people are yet to see them. Secondly, what he calls mundane are certainly not a silver bullet in changing the fortunes of our region, but certainly a critical first step economically. Finally, on corruption, when Karoli was at the office of the Prime Minister, his colleagues wrote tons of books in which he was accused of becoming an overnight billionaire. So is it a case of the pot calling the kettle black?
What is he asking? He should ask me what I own and how I acquired it, and he will get the records straight. I know Kidi Mwaga. Miguna wrote his books.
Yeah.
Where have I been investigated and found culpable? Why haven't I been taken to any court of law?
Okay.
Or prosecution, Hogwarts.
So allow me to get the final comments, starting from you, Mark.
Thank you, Ayub, for giving us an opportunity on this platform. I just want to say that I have been born and bred in Nyanza. We have seen several years of neglect. When people now want to tell us that we need to ignore the little things, and, Karoli calls them mundane things. Karoli is not also a very regular in the village. He goes occasionally when there is a Linda Mwananchi rally, so maybe he's not associating with the people on a regular basis to know how we live with those people down there. The projects that we have seen from this government, compared to all the other governments, we truly appreciate. And we have a reason to actually vote for this government back.
Okay.
Number two, we cannot jump from what we know to what is unknown. The alternative that we see in the opposition, starting with my good friend Karoli, who I respect, he's a good legislator. But Karoli can also, which is the one flagship thing that he has done for his constituents that he can actually talk about, to tell us that now I know what it is to run a flagship project. He will struggle to tell you. When we look at the caliber of leaders on the other side, look at Kalonzo Musyoka. Charity begins at home. If you've not done anything, including in your own village, if you've not done a road going to your own home when you have held senior positions, there is no way you're going to tell us that you're going to fix for us the Lake Ring Road. We will not accept it. So for our region, one of the things that I want to say as I finish is all leaders on either the political divide, the elections will come and go, we will all remain here. we don't need to fight each other, regardless whether we differ. In fact, Baba used to say that democracy, freedom, you give, even if you disagree with someone else, at least give them the opportunity to say what they want to say. But you can disagree with them later. So we want to call for calm in the region. In Migori, for example, in the whole of Nyanza, is where it was known as a bed of violence. That is where violence was actually being brewed. In fact, Migori was worse. I am glad that as leaders from that region, we have been able to bring some sanity. Okay. And today, we all meet, even people who are competing, we meet on the same platform, and everyone sells their own idea. And I want to tell our people who are on the opposition, please do not bring your confusion to our people. 60 years of neglect is enough suffering for our people.
Honorable Karoli.
No, I just want to say a few things because the discussion was about which way Nyanza. Number one, the perception that the Ruto administration is doing Luos a favor by appointing 2 of them into cabinet or doing some projects in Nyanza is actually erroneous. The actual truth is the Luos did Ruto a favor to support his government and defend it from imminent collapse at the height of Gen Z's revolution in 2024. So when you're dealing with this administration, you should not go from a position of weakness that a favor is being done to you. Secondly, I just want to tell the people of Nyanza that President Ruto has no pathway back to re-election. So if you are interested in associating with him, that is your democratic right, but you are walking into opposition with your eyes wide open. Okay. And I would leave it as that. Thank you.
Honorable.
Well, the development challenges and what needs to be done for purposes of Nyanza moving forward are very clear, and I've listed the projects. We have talked about Korusoin Dam, I've talked about Magwagwa Dam, Kisumu International Airport, Lake Region, Ring Road, an Abata in Migori, potato processing factory in Kuria, soapstone factory in Kisii, fish processing plants along the lake, among others. But we must look at the development agenda of Nyanza from within the perspective of the wider context of development in Kenya. And that entails, 1, we sort out the punitive taxation system. 2, we address the spiraling debt, public debt. 3, we sort out corruption. We must eliminate corruption. And then we do away with wastage in government. And then we sort out unemployment of our youth through the digital and creative economy. We re-engineer the entire education system. From where I sit, I believe we can have free primary education and free day secondary education. And we can also sort out the mess in the public health system. From where I sit, we should be able to have free public health services in all public hospitals if we re-engineer everything in government to do away with corruption and wastage. And that's why I'm calling for all of us as politicians to pursue issue-based politics. We abhor violence in its entirety, indiscriminately, irrespective of who is abetting it. And then we work together towards pursuing this third liberation agenda, which I've stepped forward to lead as an agent of real change, which entails economic emancipation.
Okay. Gentlemen, pleasure having you. Honorable Mark Nyamita, asante sana, thank you. Honorable Eliud Owalo, thank you. People's Prosperity Party leader and ex-cabinet minister, and Honorable Karoli Omondi, many thanks for your time. And thanks to you too. By the way, there's a message here from Fred Obache Machoka.
Yes.
So he's my father in the profession. I have to read this. Otherwise, it's an affront.
He's a man I respect a lot.
Yeah. Kindly remind the 3 gentlemen that Nyanza, as we all knew it, included both Kisii and Nyamira counties. When did our Luo brothers and sisters kick out the Kisiis, Kurias, and the Nubians from Nyanza?
That's why I've talked about potato processing in Kuria. I've talked about Magwagwa Dam in Kisii, soapstone factory in Kisii.
We have a potato factory in Migori, by the way.
Okay. So we'll leave it at that. It's good morning. You came here on Wednesday, so it's Thursday.
The ward. Number 2, I will ensure that sanitation is number 1 in that ward. It has to be crystal clean so that we sort the issue of sicknesses of children playing around within the ward, even the elderly people. We will decongest hospitals within that ward by ensuring that sanitation is top-notch. I'll have a team of youths within the ward, those that will come and give themselves to ensure that that office is functional.
Sisi vile vile sio watu ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimfuata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu, wewe umetukosea.
Sasa tumesema siku ya Jumatano. Mko tayari? Mko tayari? Tumesema sisi si majambazi.